Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. Welcome to another Toppers Talk under the interview series. So guys, let's welcome Mr. Yash Verma today. Thank you Yash so much for coming today.
Thank you, ma'am.
And many congratulations to you on being selected as RBI Grade B Officer.
Thank you so much.
Guys, Mr. Yash has been selected as Grade B Officer in Reserve Bank of India this year, 2021. Now, I'll just give a brief introduction about him, right? This is one of the most coveted jobs Yash has entered into. This was his third attempt, guys, in RBI. And he has also appeared in UPSC interview this year. So he's awaiting the final result from civil services also. So basically, we can understand that Yash has been a very hardworking guy. And that is why today he is here, selected as an officer, also awaiting the result. So Yash, we first of all again like to congratulate you on getting this achievement, on achieving this thing that you have got. And we would also like to hear about more about this journey of yours from you.
Thank you, ma'am. My journey has been a long one, I would say. Since 2016, I started preparing for this exam, and I learned quite a thing about how the competition works in this regulatory bodies exam. I previously gave NABARD exam also in 2020, ma'am, just before my UPSC prelims. So I got to know about the idea how the main patterns changing and it is evolving actually. So that actually helped me in this time in 2021. So I would say it has been a long journey and a fruitful one, I would say.
Yes, indeed, a fruitful one. So as I said that, as you said actually, that you have been preparing for the examinations from 2016. So you have done BTech, as you have told me earlier, that you have done your BTech and then you even worked in Infosys for 2 years and then you started preparing, right? So Yash, was it like, what was it that kept you through for this journey? Because there are so many ups and downs. Sometimes you feel demotivated. Sometimes you feel I should not have entered this cycle only. I should have been working only. So what kept you motivated?
Ma'am, first of all, before even entering into the competition for any exam, I think we need to be prepared that since it is an exam, there may be some successes, maybe more chances of failures. So we should not get feared by the failures. Rather, we can learn from it. So, ma'am, I tried to learn from every single exam that I gave and try to implement all the mistakes that I did, not to do them again. So I think that was one thing that helped me grow. And ma'am, I think a kind of a positive attitude is needed since the competition is so high and the seats are so low. So you need to be positive and try to get away from the results and just do what you should do. And let's wait for the what comes next. So
very well said. Acha, yes, one more question. Like before we start about your preparation strategy, see, there is a lot of confusion amongst candidates about social media while they are preparing. Shall they use it for their, like, for a lot of information you get? If you are using, let's say, social media, also you can make groups and study even there. Or some people feel that it is not right for us. So what would you suggest? What did you do? Did you use social media frequently, Hannah? Because I have spoken with the candidates selected, they said that they even used to follow Twitter. Let's say they said we used to follow Twitter because we were addicted, but still it helped us in this exam, while others were like, I have known candidates who are like, हमने चला के भी नहीं देखा WhatsApp इतने सालों से. So like, what did you do?
uh, ma'am, I would say that knowledge kahin se bhi mile, we can actually take it. But we need to know to limit ourselves. Is that knowledge is actually helping us? So there will be many PDFs of many current affairs capsules, ma'am. But eventually we cannot read everything. So we need to just limit our resources and be stable in that zone that, okay, what I have prepared is enough. And that will do about it. We don't need to look for hundreds of things. We need to do basics right. And in the exam, we need to use our common sense. So I would say that we should stick to that thing only. If it is helping you, even through the social media, there is nothing wrong, but limit it. So that will be better.
Because at the end, as you said, you cannot retain everything what you read.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Very nice. ठीक है. So let's know about your preparation strategy. So my first question would be about phase 2, Yash, because this time, as you have appeared earlier also, this time the pattern changed.
Yes,
Earlier there used to be no descriptive paper, but this time it was. So how did you go for, like, what change did you make in your preparation for descriptive per se?
Ma'am, first of all, I made sure that, okay, out of 3 questions, we have to do 2 questions. So I already have this one option to leave one question which I do not know much about. So I focused after prelims that I do focus on 80% of the syllabus and do that well enough. Because I started after prelims for mains only. So nothing major I have done. I did a EduTap material, ma'am, on finance, like 600 pages PDF that I did. As well as, ma'am, I created a kind of a notes list the questions might come from, especially in economic and social issues and finance. Like, ma'am, finance commission question directly came with just one day before the exam. So, ma'am, I knew the RBI Grade B exam will be simpler. They will ask just the basic questions. They won't go into too nitty gritties of the things. So I stuck to these things only, simple things, and just created a list of what the government would want, what the RBI could question, like Ayushman Bharat or these kind of schemes and all, ma'am, impact of COVID. So it directly came from the from my notes list, ma'am. So I created a simple list and focused on 80% of the syllabus that I can do well, and I revised.
That's a very, very good point that you have mentioned, that just starting randomly for preparation, you picked out the most important topics as per the requirement, like what could RBI ask. So those topics you extracted, but what was the basis? Your prior knowledge of this exam, like, these are the types they ask, or you went through the syllabus thoroughly, that, and of course related content, that this seems to be most important. How did you extract those most important points?
Uh, Ma'am, I would say that earlier RBI used to conduct the descriptive examination. So I saw how the previous year questions used to come. So they were not too deep. And according to our understanding, that since it is a elementary exam, we do not require a general exam. So not like a economics expert are needed. So they would want to check our basic knowledge. So from that, ma'am, I saw that, okay, previous year questions, they were not asking very difficult questions. So I made a list of, in the past 1 year, what had been the major concerns of the economy as well as the finance sector. And then I eventually made the list on that one.
Very nice. So this is again that you refer to the previous year papers, like prior to 2015, there used to be papers or descriptive papers. So you went through those,
Yes,
found
ma'am.
out that what topics are relevant for exam, and then extracted the topics. This is a very good strategy I would share with the students, that you should note this thing down, that rather than just to preparing and writing each and everything, that also you can do, but
Yes,
priority
ma'am.
should be there. Okay, so this is about descriptive, and of course I think you can elaborate more, that your experience of UPSC answer writing would have also helped here.
Yes, ma'am. 100%, ma'am. Because we in UPSC, ma'am, we can structure our answers better. Ma'am, eventually we learned that writing an answer with utmost simplicity is the priority there. So not writing some extravagant lines or, ma'am, any flamboyant English we are using. Just rather writing a very simple language, very structured answers, ma'am, will eventually help. So this actually helped in how to frame an answer of a particular question.
So basically the practice of answer writing is required. If you are a UPSC aspirant or you have the experience, then it will be there. Else, if let's say few students prepare only for regulatory bodies, let's say, or SSC, they can do more practice, because that is what
Yes,
is
ma'am.
needed, right?
One thing,
Please.
I would like to say, ma'am, that reading newspapers is also essential. Like, if you want to actually write better, if you read the newspapers pretty well, the editorials one, even from the newspapers like Business Standard or Financial Express, ma'am, whichever is available to you, that actually helps you build the confidence about what you're actually reading is making sense in the real world, not in just the forms of capsules and all, ma'am. So it becomes more organic, and you can come up with the lines that is more suited to the answer rather than just framing anything right there. So that is actually quite important. Reading newspapers and linking it thoroughly with the outer word is important.
Again, a very important advice that you have given, that referring to the magazines capsule is one thing, but newspapers are also required. So you used to like read the newspaper throughout the exam cycle, or there was a time like before phase one you felt "Ki nahi, now I can leave the newspaper thing"?
Ma'am, for civil services, I had to read the newspaper because interview dates had
Hmm.
come already. So I was focusing more on every issue that was important. But after ma'am prelims of RBI, I started reading two business newspapers. One was
Hmm.
Business Standard and other was Financial Express, ma'am. So I used to pick out the points, what is important. And then ma'am, I carried it even till the last day. Because in interview also they can ask, what did you read today? Tell us the headlines of the
Hmm.
any newspaper. So yes, ma'am, it became important.
So it is about like again priority, that if you can take out time, you can read it. You must. If you cannot take out time, then again it is the priority. You needed to. You knew that I have no option, but I have to read. So you took out time even for
Yes,
prelims,
ma'am.
even before the
Yeah.
phase one exam.
Mm,
Right. Very nice. This was again about priorities, I would say. Right.
yes, ma'am.
So Yash, will you please share with us your sources of the preparation of ESI Finance Phase 2?
ESI as well as finance, ma'am. Ma'am, for finance, I did not read much. I just read the EduTap 600 pages PDF because I thought that less time is there to watch the videos. So I thought, okay, let's just do the basics of it and prepare for the exam, like for the mains questions as well, like which comes in kind of a descriptive form.
Hmm.
So I just focused on the basics, what RBI could ask, and ma'am just focused on. And I used to do one thing that there were few friends of me, and we used to discuss, please explain this concept. So if someone is actually explaining the concepts, ma'am, then they are able to understand what is actually going on. And if your friend helps you ask, okay, a counter question, then you will be at risk. Okay, I should have read the concept pretty much better. So
Hmm.
that kind of accountability helped actually in order to have a good kind of a concept ma'am building in all the exam, like economic and social issues, also kind of the reports, if even if you read. So, ma'am, this I did for finance because uh, there is a challenge. New kind of concepts will come like certificate of deposits and all, which we often get confused into.
Hmm.
So that helped, ma'am. In ESI, ma'am, eventually I read the NCRTs basics only. And apart from that, from EduTap, I did, ma'am, few of the reports that were mentioned, and I
Hmm.
read them like 10, 12 reports, and ma'am, that did it.
Okay, so like basically for you said FM finance management, there are not much sources. We can refer to one source because static is like majorly there, right? And for ESI reports, schemes also, did you prepare government schemes?
Yes, ma'am. Schemes I used to read from the newspapers, ma'am, and then I
Hmm.
used to make my own notes. So I had my digital notes everywhere, so I could
That
always
would have taken
search
time,
it.
a lot of time that
Uh,
would have taken.
yes, ma'am. But eventually we have
Hmm.
to do these things. Yes,
Right. So you like whenever any scheme was released in newspaper, you used to make notes of the same.
yes, ma'am.
And even if let's, because see, when we are reading newspaper, a lot of old schemes are also mentioned. Like they'll say that Fasal Bima Yojana will be in news every other day. I see it is there. So
Yes, ma'am.
did you
Yes,
used
ma'am.
to make note of such news also, which are related to old schemes, or just the new ones you used to cover?
Ma'am, mostly old schemes could be covered from the capsules that are
Hmm.
already available. So even if I can forget things, we all know, but ma'am, we can again recall it through these sources again. So there was no such problem with the older ones, and there is high probability they will ask from the new scheme rather than asking
Hmm.
from the older scheme. So more focus I did on these schemes.
Okay. So government schemes, you said you prepared like this reports. You referred to the reports. Would you please names few reports so that students who are the aspirants can get more clarity that these reports are relevant?
Ma'am, I would say that since economic and social issues is a major topic around this, so all the major reports which are done by World Bank or ma'am, even IMF or even World Economic Forum, as well as ma'am NABARD, RBI also release their
Hmm.
basic reports. So major focus should be on that part, which actually impacts the whole society and all. So rather than focusing on very small reports, I would say better if you don't have that much time, then focus on these major area reports only, because they would want to pick the queries for the question for the students, ma'am, which are actually that we should know, the students should know about these things. So, ma'am, these kind of schemes only they will ask mostly. So this is my learning
Very nice.
from
No,
the
that's
exam.
right also, because what you are saying, we also have seen, we suggest students that what should they do is that for finding out the relevant reports, let's say, they should go to the syllabus, education,
Yes, ma'am.
health sector,
Yes, ma'am.
unemployment. So these are the things they will usually, as you said, which are actually impacting the large society. That is
That's
what is
true.
coming from your syllabus also. So rightly you said. Please tell us something about your current affairs also, because for ESI report schemes we know, but the developments again, current events, they are also quite important. Phase 2 and now for phase 1 also, with this type of paper which came in 2021.
Yes. Ma'am, for phase two, as I already mentioned, that newspapers were the main source, ma'am.
Hmm.
So if I come across some kind of scheme or some kind of current affairs related issue which RBI handles, let's say cooperative banks or
Hmm.
ma'am, anything that comes by. So ma'am, I try to understand, okay, what is cooperative banks? What is actually a cooperative society? So completely understanding a concept would eventually help. And then ma'am, I used to see the PIB sources of these schemes or whatever the government is saying about the particular thing. So that becomes quite important for phase two, ma'am.
Hmm.
So
Okay, very nice. So these were your sources, and answer writing we have already discussed. So let's now move on to your phase 1 preparation. So let's
yes, ma'am.
try to link your phase 2 current affairs preparation to phase 1 general awareness.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can elaborate more on that.
Ma'am, for phase one, I would say that out of 30, like 80 questions, ma'am, around 30, 40 questions would be such that you can manage if you have read these capsules very well.
Hmm.
So, ma'am, I think that will do. But if you want to dig deeper, if you don't have time, I would suggest that try not to focus too much into it, but understand what is the major source of the things. For example, RBI related things will be the most important. Then PSB, public sector banks things related will be the second largest priority. Then the government schemes, budget, etc. will be the most important priority. Apart from that, capsules will be helpful. So, ma'am, in these four order of priority, RBI first, then public sector banks, financial sector, and what government is doing in economy, and then fourth is, ma'am, capsules. So I frame this in this way so that it can help me not just in phase one but also phase two.
Very nice. This would have helped you because, again, as I said earlier, that integration is there in phase 1, phase 2. You cannot just prepare any capsule just 3-4 months and go, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And yes, see, schemes are okay. Reports also, we understand these are relevant, but there are quite a lot of things, other things also that one has to retain. Like, let me give an example. For example, sports. So many developments are taking place. Tokyo Olympics have now taken place. So such events which have a lot of information. How did you use to retain such things?
Ma'am, we actually had a group of 3 people. So we used to take these capsules for 1 month particularly, and we used to frame questions from the magazine there itself only.
Hmm.
So in this way, ma'am, we could recollect also in what fashion the other person asked the question. So we are not just reading the capsules, but actually we are framing the questions and asking our each friends
Hmm.
together. So ma'am, that eventually helped to retain us better, because reading passively is a different thing, and recollecting just actively is a much better prospect. So we focused on that kind of a preparation, like with
So
friends.
so news in the form of questions basically
Yes, ma'am.
would help,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So like as you used to discuss with your friends, quiz, if someone has a group, it's good, it's a good thing. If they do not, then they can go to quiz also, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Did
ma'am.
you used to watch YouTube videos also?
No, ma'am. Very rarely. Very rarely.
I knew you are not a person who would much rely on YouTube videos. Hmm. Right. ठीक है. So like I think we have discussed a lot of things about your current affairs part in phase 1 GA, and coming to the quantitative and reasoning. So these are two parts, two sections that are dreaded by candidates, right? Because they are not as easy as in other banking examinations, right? So फिर how did you manage?
Ma'am, for reasoning, I had my limits. I was not great at puzzles, so I just did not focus much on that. But on the other part, ma'am, I focused. I thought that, okay, I just need to clear the reasoning cutoff, for which I need to know around 20 to 25 questions. So I more focused on inference-based questions, assumption-based question, and a basic kind of reasoning question on syllogisms. So, ma'am, I try to do the most easiest part of them all and try to focus more towards general awareness to fetch more marks. So, ma'am, I tried this strategy. I'm not very good at reasoning very much, but yes, ma'am. So I did. For quant, ma'am, I would say there are 5, 6 topics that everyone can actually do better at, like percentage, ratios. Ma'am, these are always going to come in every exam. So rather better be prepared for the like third level of questions from even from CAT if you can actually do for RBI, because it is just notch there for RBI exam. So ma'am, if you can do like 5, 6 topics, averages, ratio proportions, percentage, profit loss, SICI. So ma'am, these are eventually going to make around 5 to 6 questions in any way. Apart from that, we can do the DI thing, ma'am, we can do. So I would say these 12 to 15 questions you can always do if you have a upper hand over these kind of questions. Okay. So ma'am, I made my strategy to not to go too much deep and practice too much about these points and reasoning, but focus more on my strengths.
Yes, of course, that is also advisable, that you should your strength you should know, you should work on it, and the weak points also you should know. ऐसा नहीं हो that you feel I am very good at quant and actually you are not. So don't do that. Rather, just try to up your weakness there, like provide strength to your weakness part. So
Yes,
now I want to know, like, what sources did you follow for quant and reasoning? Did you refer to any book? या कोई course था? How did you prepare?
Ma'am, actually, I did not follow any kind of courses or even mock test. I did not give for quant reasoning, but I used to solve from online sources, little bit, some kind of a questionnaire, 20 questions, 30 questions, and that's it, ma'am. I did not focus too much on quant and reasoning. I thought I am reasonably good at it. I can just clear the cutoff, and that will be it for me. So
fine.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So like just practice basically the kind of questions you solved,
Yes,
and you tried that let me limit this part here only and focus on GA. So what about English? Although it's not very difficult if you have a good knowledge, especially if you read newspapers, I assume. So for English also, you must not have practiced a lot.
Yes, ma'am. I feel, ma'am, English is something that if you imbibe it in your daily routine, you can eventually clear, or you can you can actually do well in exams. Ma'am, if you have a consistently reading the newspapers or the other thing, even other books or kind of even reports also. So, ma'am, that will eventually help you build a kind of a structure, a kind of a grammar that you need to look for in the questions. So, ma'am, I think reading newspapers consistently will eventually help you also in understanding also, and even English also.
Even
So
English
I did
for
not do much.
okay, for English for phase 1, and I think even for your descriptive paper of English, newspaper reading, the knowledge and the level of understanding you'll get would help there also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Because newspapers, ma'am, if you read from financial sources like Business Standard, as I mentioned, ma'am, you are going to pick up the economic terms easily, and it is not going to come artificially into whatever you write. And you will know how to introduce a topic, ma'am. If something comes up in newspaper, so you'll know how to actually tell the examiner that, okay, I know this, and this is how I frame my answer. So he will also be happy when we write in descriptive, that writing simply will eventually help you.
That's right.
So, ma'am, I followed the simple strategy.
And it worked. We can see. That is why you are here sharing your strategy.
Yes,
Good.
ma'am.
So keeping your strategy simple means that you are clear about basics, that these are the things I'll follow, and then you stick to those, because the more complex strategy it is, the more difficult it is to follow it. Eventually you end up not doing anything if you make complex things. Acha,
Yes,
Yash, I
ma'am.
have this question. A lot of students ask us, they mail us and call us, okay, ma'am, please ask toppers about the list of books they followed. So would you suggest ki, haan, these are the books I can suggest for the students?
Ma'am, for economics and finance, ma'am, there is a one very good book called Shankar Ganesh. It is a very thin book which
Hmm.
one can rely on to focus on the basic concept.
Hmm.
So that is one great book. And if someone wants to read thoroughly, ma'am, they can go for Ramesh Singh, but it is too heavy. So I would
There's two.
suggest like Shankar Ganesh is a very good book. Ma'am, apart from that, I can tell you that NCRT books are also good, but they will go little deeper sometimes in future. Yeah.
NCRTs of 11th and 12th.
Yes, ma'am. Like macroeconomics is a good book. Man. One can read and understand how the economy functions, like GDP and ma'am, all the other things that
Hmm.
purchasing power parity. Ma'am, all the basic concepts are there in NCRT. If one wants to read, they should actually read it.
Okay. And any book for FM also would you suggest?
Ma'am, I read only EduTap material of 6 pages of PDF, ma'am, and I think it was well enough for anyone to complete the syllabus eventually. Like 80% of the syllabus can be completed now.
Hmm.
Even for management, I just did the PDFs. I did not have much time for the videos after prelims. So, ma'am, it really helped. I saw the previous year questions. I did.
But yes, see, like finance, still I can understand that you can relate with it. Okay. Some management, if you have not studied earlier, then what
Yes,
happens is, this is again a query we get, that there is lack of time, right? Syllabus has to be covered, but there are videos to be covered along with summary sheets, concept notes. So if one can not see, if will it be fine if they cannot see the video and only refer to the other content that is provided?
ma'am, I would say that videos actually helps you to get the concepts in
Hmm.
management because a person from science background, ma'am, it will be difficult for him to comprehend.
Hmm.
So, ma'am, better to watch the videos if you can, because management it becomes little complex because you require good concept like what is motivation and what is motive. So it can become challenging at times. So go for videos, I would say, for this management subject.
Okay. Yes, fair enough. That is that obviously you will get a better understanding through videos. Acha, one question, Yash, that out of three phases of your exam, phase one, phase two, and interview, now because you are selected, which phase did you feel most difficult? कि सबसे ज्यादा डर इस phase में लगता है या this is most difficult to clear?
Uh, ma'am, if we go by the sheer competition cap, it is phase one. But
Hmm.
to go by the kind of the pressure you face, it will be the interview, ma'am.
Hmm.
Because an interview will be feeling the butterflies in your stomach, and you have to read eventually everything that comes in the newspapers. So yes, that is also a tricky part. But yeah, phase one is the most difficult part or most challenging part, I would say.
Right. And for interview, if we talk about, um, how did you prepare when you one were done with phase two? So did you start preparing right away, or did you wait ki chalo let's see when the result will come out, then I'll start preparing?
Uh, ma'am, when the results came on like 4th of May for phase two came, so ma'am, we knew that the COVID situation is there and it is a complex situation and it will be
Hmm.
a difficult time. So we'll
Hmm.
have 2-3 months of time. So ma'am, I started reading newspapers. Slowly, I started to get into the groove. And then ma'am, framing my own questions, like what the interview board can ask and ma'am preparing from that. Slowly, ma'am, I integrated all the understanding from the newspapers, framing the questions based on my personality, and ma'am, I framed those questions from initially, ma'am, from starting only.
Okay. Did you take any mock interview also?
Yes, ma'am, I took around 2 mock interviews, and yes, both is just that I could not link the thing which sir eventually told that try to link it more with the surroundings, with your surroundings. So, ma'am, that can actually help. So, a more organic kind of a preparation is, ma'am, better suited for interviews because
Hmm.
eventually you can always learn the definitions, but it won't come directly in the interview if you have not imbibed in yourself.
Uh,
So, yeah, yes, ma'am.
ठीक है, तो I think we have like discussed your strategy well. ठीक है, but I would also like you to tell to the candidates who are still preparing for this exam, aspiring for RBI, that how should they go for this exam? Should they solely prepare for RBI, or they can sync, as you said, you appeared in NABARD also, because NABARD and RBI have a lot of things in common. They can go for other exams like SEBI, NABARD, of the regulatory bodies, या फिर साथ में simultaneously other exams can also be prepared. What, like, completely what you feel can be right?
Ma'am, I would say there can be two things about it, like that how the exams are coming up. If they are just coming up in 1 month after the another, so ma'am, you will eventually have less time actually to prepare for the exam. And if you are not clearing the prelim, so it will shatter your confidence in one way or the other way. But if there are, ma'am, 3-4 months gap for a particular exam, I think one can go about it, because in first exam, whatever you have studied, ma'am, it can be helpful in the second exam. So I would say if there is a good gap and you can actually study better for the second exam, you can go about it. And don't take things too seriously about a particular exam. Like be stress free during the exam time, and because that is, I think, the most important part is using your common sense. They want people who have actually good common sense. They're not just cramming things up. So eventually understand like what is important for you, learn about yourself, what I want, and go about it.
Wonderful points. Like, these are the answers I was looking for, and you have put it right across. बहुत अच्छे से. Because see, it is wise to go for other exams, but you cannot blindly follow in every exam that is coming. You have to see, no, that you are not appearing just for the sake of appearing. If you have time, if you can use that well, so you can appear there. And second point also, I really liked it, that of course you are going to be a part of organized government, then you have to use your common sense also. Hard work is there. You have done hard work. Everyone who's getting selected has done hard work, but still the consistency is also required. So yes, your family members would be very happy.
Yes, ma'am. They're extremely happy. Father is all right. Like now he's satisfied. Now got a kind of a very good job. Yeah, ma'am.
Chalo, congratulations to you and your family again. And we wish you all the very best for your career ahead from all the associates of EduTap.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else you'd like to say to the candidates?
I would. We can try to have a positive framework. Like if we have this kind of a positive attitude that yes, there is a light at the end of tunnel. So try to believe in it, and don't just follow too many toppers, even not including me also. Just try to know what is the requirement of exam. That is the most important thing. And don't try to compare yourself with anyone. Just try to be better than what you did on yesterday, and now today you can do much better than that. Just try to rely on that, and eventually I think most of us are competition for try to be better with you only, so that will reduce the pressure.
Wonderfully summarized the entire strategy. Thank you again, Yash. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, man.